Welcome to studysimaonline.co.uk. My name is Samantha Karadagoda. Today I'll be presenting you about the introduction of test of professional competency in management accounting, or otherwise commonly known as the CIMA T4 Part B examination. I myself has been a CIMA tutor for several years by this time and have been going through the answer scripts of many students as a part of my CIMA coaching. So what I have gathered out of that, I'm very glad to share with you in this show. Let's take a look at what is the difference from the strategic level to top CIMA, or otherwise the T4 Part B exam when you move on. The first point to note is that strategic level is testing the separate subject areas. So you might remember it is testing the performance strategy, the enterprise strategy, and the financial strategy. However, when you come into the T4 Part B, it is testing all of your knowledge that you have gathered through the different pillars of your CIMA education, starting from the certificate level or otherwise any of the entry paths that you have been taking, and all the way up to the point that you are graduating from the CIMA program or otherwise completing the test of professional competency in management accounting. So how does it come? It is coming in as an integrated case study. So you will never notice that there are questions directly related for enterprise strategy. There are no questions that are directly related to the performance strategy or the questions related to financial strategy. But you are required to put your skills into use when you are writing the report of the top CIMA or otherwise CIMA T4 examination. The strategic level questions are specific. This means your questions will be from specific selected theory areas or a combination of theory areas. But still, those questions will be very specifically asking about a solution that you can suggest for a given problem. However, when you come into T4 Part B examination, you will have to find the problem and give a solution. So this is a very important change that you are going to see as you go into the CIMA T4 examination, whereas you should become someone who can sense the problems that are in the business. So you will read the pre-seen scenario, you will read the unseen case study, and finally you will have to find out what is the problem with this business. So otherwise, at least 5 different issues that the business is facing, and then you have to analyze, recommend the solution about these issues. And then strategic level questions can be skipped. If you have a strategic level paper which is structured as the first 50 marks are allocated through a common case study but separately tested, and there are 2 other questions which are awarded 25 marks each. Just in case if you are not very strong in a particular syllabus area, you have the ability to avoid certain questions and still score 50% of the marks allocated. In that case, you are still passing the examination. But when you come into the CIMA T4, you must complete your report. A full report is a must in CIMA T4, and then you will have to provide a very professional report that the examiner would like to read with the mindset of a decision maker. So with that, I will move on to the 4th point, which is you must elevate your thinking. I have marked with these block letters especially because this is a very important point at this level you have to remember. You have to think like a CEO, board of directors, or business owner. Why? Because most of the time your report should be targeted towards the top level management. The top level management is reading your report to make a decision. So you should think through that mind frame of a top level management person in order to write an effective report. So therefore, continuously throughout our program, we will be guiding you how to elevate your mindset and thinking. Now, in order to achieve that elevated mindset and thinking, together with that, you will have to write your answers in a way that you are demonstrating the skills that you have acquired throughout your studies in one report. So how do you do this? First, you will adopt the thinking where the top level management will adopt, so that you are walking in their own shoes. Once you have done that, there are higher level skills needed. The industry understanding, because you are knowing the industry that the T4 case study is about. The well-versed with economy at large, because you should know what are the phenomena that are taking place around the economy. What are the important changes that are taking place in the European economy? What are the changes that are taking place in the Asian economies? As you can see, in the strategic level, you are not required to carry out an industry research before you go to the examination. But right now, for the T4 Part B examination, you are absolutely required to carry out a research about the external environment, especially together with the industry that is concerned to the T4 Part B exam. And then you are moving into the evaluation analysis and logical thinking. These are the competencies that you are demonstrating to the examiners. You have the ability to evaluate some issue, analyze what are the kind of solutions that will be lying around, logically think what are the suitable solutions and what are the not so suitable solutions, filter them out and suggest recommendation and advice some of the solutions that can be implemented into the business. So therefore, you are an overall solution provider at the exam. And your writing should be extremely professional in a way that you use even the simplest English that is possible, but still you will have to provide information in a professional manner so that you can write simple English, but still you become concise as well as expressive as much as required in order to make a decision for the top level management by reading your report. So once you develop your skills, you will be able to sit to the exam. So when you sit for the examination, you will see that there are assessment criteria. If you were observant enough, you might have noticed that at the strategic level, the marks were allocated question by question by different competency levels. However, at the CIMA T4, the marks are allocated or awarded for key competency areas in a more collective manner, so that there are no separate small question segments that you can answer and score some 5 to 10 marks, but instead of that, you have to provide an overall report which is impressing the examiner in a way that you are achieving the highest possible amount of marks allocated in the T4 examination. If we try to analyze the different areas of marks provided, the areas of marks are based on analysis of the issues, the strategic choices that you are making, and the recommendation. So you will remember in the top skills that were required, we identified that your analytical skills as well as your logic of choosing and finally advising and recommending, these abilities should be demonstrated in your report. So how will you do this? You can see that different areas are given different weightings in the number of marks allocated. So therefore, you can plan out in a way that you will give the best possible effort in the most critical areas. You can see high level emphasis should be given to the logic, which is giving you 30 marks, and judgment, which is giving you 20 marks. So these are the two areas to look after very well, which we will be coaching you how to gain the 30 marks under the logic area and how to gain the 20 marks under the judgment. So even if you score 40% of allocated marks, you still cannot pass, because this alone is a 50% of the marks allocated for the whole examination. So therefore, you have to be very strong in the area of logic and judgment. Next, you will come into technical, 5 marks, application, 15 marks, and ethics. So these are very straightforward marks. In the technical section, there are some of the very commonly used technical tools that are coming from your previous level of studies that you can implement in order to gain these 5 marks. You do not really have to overdo that. There is a right amount of analysis that you do using the technical skills. So we are going to guide you how are you going to use each of these technical skills and get the maximum number of marks, which is 5. So which is very straightforward. Once you do those analysis using the technical skills, you will receive those marks. And then application. How are you applying your knowledge into the context of the examination? Because you should show that you are a solution provider for the particular industry. The issues presented by the industry should be solved. It's not the mere theoretical knowledge that you are throwing into the examination. You are going to choose the relevant technical knowledge, the relevant theoretical knowledge, and apply in order to provide a solution for the industry that is chosen for that particular exam diet. And then you come into the ethics area, which is largely guided by the CIMA Code of Ethics. So, with the right amount of thoroughness of what is the CIMA Code of Ethics and how these code of ethics are implemented in the business world, you will be able to score these marks. So, there are principles that you have to be driving yourself and your answers at the examination, which will give you very straightforward marks. So, altogether you can see that there are 15 plus 5 plus 10, which is 20 plus 10, 30 marks that you can very straightforwardly achieve in the technical application and ethics areas. You should be very careful not to overspend the time for the industry research. This is because you are being allocated only 5 marks, so that you have to show that industry research knowledge in an appropriate manner. Just writing about a particular incident that took place in the same industry but at a different company will not give you the marks. Your marks will be given when you apply, or otherwise when you bring up a particular issue which is having the similar context and most of the time related to the industry, but in a different industry also you can do it. What matters here is whether you bring the external issues within the right context for the question. So, we will look into it as we go, how to write your answer using the industry research information in a contextual manner instead of just writing, copying a news article that you saw in the internet. And then let's come into the pre-seen case study. You are kind of familiar about the pre-seen case studies by now. The reason is that previously in your strategic level examinations, you have studied a pre-seen case study. However, when you are coming into the T4 level, the pre-seen case study becomes a little more detailed, as well as you are supposed to be familiarized with the industry, the company, and the key personnel, as well as their roles and actions, operations, and financials. So, how are you going to do this? Later on, we will be guiding you through a 5-level reading method in order to digest all the information that is presented in the pre-seen case study. Once you have digested this information in a strategic and analytical manner, it's not just reading and memorizing the pre-seen case study. You will be strategically reading and digesting all the important points in the pre-seen case study in a way that you gain the ability to identify what are the potential issues that are coming up in the unseen case study also. You should provide your solutions for the issues in the unseen case study but not the pre-seen. This is a very important point to remember. So, you do not have to learn the pre-seen by heart, but rather you will have to have a thorough understanding about the industry, about the business, about the people in the business, operations and the financials. In that way, you prove that you behave almost like an employee, or otherwise almost like a consultant who was already involved with the business in concern. So, it shows your higher level skill of having an industry understanding, having a business understanding, and providing a relevant and contextual solution for the issues that are coming up in the unseen case study. How are you going to show your skills to the examiner? You will have to show your skills using the report structure and the way that you are writing the report. So, the report should be written according to a predefined structure. We will be guiding you how to identify different areas that should go into the report structure and then write a very standard format of the report structure, which will become logical, analytic and concise. It's extremely important that you show your ability of logic, analytics and recommending in a concise manner, so that you help a top level decision maker to use as a supporting document for decision making. And a special tip that we want to give today is that some sections of the report will follow a common set of wording that you can prepare at home. So, in a way, at least there are 3 to 5 number of marks that you can gain at home itself. So, which is a good thing. So, you have to be careful what you are going to memorize and what you are not going to be memorizing. So, therefore, we will be guiding you what are the sections that you can plan at home, keep it in your mind, write it at the exam at the very moment you start writing your answer script. Then I will touch on some of the success factors that you have to follow. Number one is understanding the specific nature and requirements of T4. In one line, it is all about how are you going to provide necessary information in an analytic, concise and professional manner for the top level managers to make a decision. We will be elaborating on how are you going to do that, and you should have a thorough understanding about the case study, which is done through the 5-level reading, broad understanding about the industry, which you will have to carry out research about the industry that the business is related to. Definitely we will be supporting you to carry out the research about the industry and developing a businessman like thinking. So you should have the passion and the expectations of a business owner so that you will see what are the problems of the business. You should go beyond becoming just an employee in your thinking and analysis, but definitely when you come to write your answer, you should adopt the thinking and analytics and the behaviors of that is required by the examination question. If it is requiring you to become a management accountant, you should behave like a management accountant. If it requires you to become a consultant, you should behave like a consultant. And finally, extremely important point where the students really make mistakes is related to efficient and effective report writing with correct time management. You should know that how much of time you are investing into each of the areas in the report. Different areas of the report will carry different amounts of marks, and in order to gain those marks, your time investment should be different. So you definitely need this guidance in order to achieve your success at the CIMA T4 examination. So we will identify what is the action plan you should follow in order to be successful at the examination. First, you have to do a pre-scene analysis, which we are coaching on how to carry out a 5-level reading. Different levels of reading, starting from getting just an understanding, ultimately ending up becoming an expert about the industry and the business that you are being presented with. Then we will do an industry analysis to identify what are the key trends that are affecting the business and try to see how it will affect our unseen scenario. Skill development, thorough skill development in the areas of time management, report writing, analytics, as well as presenting will be done. And you need to do examination practice using most of the recent exam papers which had been really tested, as well as some of the mock examinations. You should need some personalized feedback which we are happily providing to you, showing you the path in order to achieve the success at the examination, especially looking at the answers that you are writing. And finally, we will carry out a phase of polishing up in order to prove you that you have the confidence to go to the examination and become extremely successful and become qualified as soon as possible. Wish you the best.